Quorum, Adam might join us, Frank, but we know Chris is out, so we'll get going at 7 o'clock. Of course. Not a lot new, but we have our standard agenda. We'll start with acceptance of the secretary's report. Is there a motion to accept?
I move we accept it.
I'll second.
Excellent. Discussion.
I didn't see any discussion.
It was good as always.
Yeah, we're good.
There's no discussion. We'll go to a vote on accepting the secretary's report. Susan?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. On to the monthly staff reports. Is there a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
You were just talking about carpet, was that there are things, were you just looking at a different carpet across the building? I know it's in the report, what you were looking at carpet.
There's a whole lot of carpet in my office.
Oh, okay.
We did look at carpet for the lecture hall. But I had Scott look at the carpet in the youth room because there's multiple,
It's a mosaic, you might call
Yes.
it.
So when we went to capital planning over the years, you'd only get so much money. And so they would do sections of carpet. And so I'm hoping at some point to put together a plan where we can get it all, at least so it sort of matches a little bit.
How many copiers are there in the building? Is it just got one, just the big one on the main floor, copiers? That was
Yes.
out of order, yeah.
Is it out of order today?
No, it's just, I noticed that in your,
Oh, the one that's
Yeah,
out of
that's
order, that's
out for-
ours.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
that's-
that's the one that's in the office.
not for public use.
It's not for public use. The public use one has been working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
No, it's the one in the office was down.
Oh, one other question, this might be at Jackie's section, we were talking about that too. Good, this is something about Jackie. The legislative advocacy committee regarding the legislative breakfast on Friday, February 2nd, is that usually attended by the trustees, or is that?
Sometimes, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Tim went to the one in Reading, with us. It varies.
I see.
You're more than welcome to go.
Yeah, where are these legislators from? Do you recall?
They would be, so this is Noble's legislative breakfast, so they are mostly Noble libraries. I think
Okay.
we also invited like
North Shore.
Ipswich and Hampton, like if there was some people that were kind of where they overlap into Noble,
Sure.
so they were invited, but.
Okay, good, thank you.
As far as I saw today, our own legislators are not signed up yet.
I see.
Like Donald Wong and Kate Litharian and Jason Lewis, they haven't signed up yet. Sometimes it's just a matter of, it's early in the morning and people have other things to do and
Sure.
Right.
sometimes it's hard to get there.
Timing and bandwidth.
Yeah, they typically, especially, Donald Wong goes to everything.
He does.
So if there's, so
Yeah,
if
he
their, if their schedule is free, they tend to be there.
Yeah, all three of them have historically been very good to us.
Really supportive, yeah. They've been really supportive. But I think when they have these kind of regional breakfasts, it's to make a splash and get lots of people on board for things. And sometimes it's the fact that Noble gets money that trickles down to us.
Right.
There was a note in the reference that section about ASL training for staff. Yeah. Which sounded fantastic, which maybe I wonder, have we ever offered ASL training to the public? We have, okay.
We did, yeah.
It was just after the pandemic? During the pandemic? It was on Zoom.
Oh, right,
It was
right.
on Zoom, which makes me think it was shortly after the pandemic. It was very well attended, I think we ran it twice.
At least twice. Yeah, people really liked it.
I like the notes from the circulation desk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, I think it ladders up this notion of like, we have the best library around, and I think that's what the commentary was.
Yeah, it's also, what strikes me about those comments is that, in part, we have the best library around because we have tremendous support. The town supports us well, and when the town and the townspeople are not really that supportive,
Sure.
it affects those services.
Yeah.
So,
Seemed like a lot of things broke this month. Was it,
Oh,
was it just, when it rains it pours, or was there like one event that cascaded into?
no, I think when it rains it pours, it's just, that's starting to become our new normal, that lots of things break. Sometimes I think they're broken and then they're not, they're just, it's like, we have a new automatic flushers in one of the restrooms, and it wasn't flushing, and it's because the battery wore out. So that, and I thought that, and then Dave said, yeah, it's just a battery, so, that's an easy fix, but then there's a plumbing thing in tech services that's not gonna be an easy fix, it's rusted and needs a new faucet and things just wear out, yeah.
I'm curious, when it comes to programming, is there any version of, are you seeing an uptick in any type of programming based either on age group or like type of program lately? This is not a January or a December question, I look at the numbers, obviously youth goes high, right? But I'm just as a general thing, I'm curious about like what is capturing people, what programs are potentially growing. If you don't know off the top of your head, that's totally fine, I'm just curious.
Crafts.
The crafts,
People
it looked like that.
All ages.
Yeah, well, the Christmas crafts thing, it caught my eye too, I was like, because I don't, know what people are like into, right? As a general rule, when I see that, I'm like, well, this seems to be really clicking with some folks, yeah.
Every craft is full, every craft program we do, particularly for adults, is full.
Like I say, is
Full with
that,
the wait list.
that's age agnostic, is that like
Yeah.
young, middle age, older?
The children's ones have
whatever?
always filled,
Sure, okay.
but the adult ones fill with the wait list, some of them we run twice, and they
Okay.
fill with the wait list.
Okay,
I have a question related to
That's cool.
Scott's. In the technical services, and I see it every month, technology instruction. And there's two lines there, tech drop-ins and then digital media lab appointments.
Yeah.
This sounds like a terrific service, and it doesn't really get a lot of attention. Is there, first of all, how is it advertised? I think it's on the website. I think I crossed paths with it on the
It will
website.
show up on the website.
It's gotta really look.
Yeah, if I understand that we're sort of rolling that out softly. It's during the day,
Rolling with us.
tech drop-ins and tech training, like we don't do that at night, we're not doing it at night yet.
No.
It's kind of geared toward people who would use it during the day, which is a smaller population.
Sure.
So if you did it at night, it would probably be different,
Is it for lay people or for technical people?
lay people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Although if technical people came in, we'd all just share information, I guess.
it's a good point, and and I also think the marketing and library programs are also like a whole conversation too, where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah.
If you go to any library website, we're not unique in this
Right,
scenario where it's like, you go to a website for a library and it's like you have to be something for
Yeah.
everybody, and how do you outward advertise efficiently, and how do you market efficiently? But I agree, it's a good program.
Yeah,
It's a question mark around how do you market it in a way that like makes it more successful based on how good it is.
yeah, even just a brief article in the item will get a lot of attention. And it may not be practical to do that. I mean, it may not be practical to promote the program. You've got one person who has another job to do
Sure.
that puts it on, so.
So we would weigh that, because we have a couple of people who do it, and Jackie's the scheduler, there's a schedule involved.
Yeah,
So as long as we can handle the
Yeah.
schedule. It's funny that I had this conversation today with the town. I had a meeting with the senior center.
Yeah.
And they were talking about communication, and everybody has the same problem. The town hears all the time that people are saying, I didn't know about that.
sure.
And we have awesome communication at Wakefield. I mean, they send you.
Jen does a good job.
It's really good, and we have a local paper.
That's right.
So, part of it might be training people to look different places. We have a newsletter that we send out, and I think that's where we get a lot of people. But we could send that information to the senior center, and we have. But at the senior center, she's setting up a new board that people will look at to find, so she's kind of directing them to say, this is where the information is. So once we're all sort of on board, that ends up being extra places we can get it out there.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It kind of goes to like, we're in an information overload age, so,
Yeah,
cause you look at, if you get the newsletter, every week you see what's coming up this week, but it's like, I mean, if you don't sign up right away, then it's just, you get deleted, the email goes to your inbox, and these, you're probably getting an email from the senior center too, or someplace else too, like we're in the school, like it's just.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
For sure.
right.
and everybody's accessing the information in different ways, so.
It's, there's some reframing needed. I think it's to Catherine's point, it's like the town already makes people aware as best as they can, and it's like it's reteaching people that they need to pay attention when the town sends an email, because
Yeah.
you might wanna know what town is doing, but we're very inundated, so I get
It
it.
seemed that the first place somebody would look is the website. And, they come to they browse the website, because it's pretty browsable.
Yeah.
But if you go to a website, you're kind of almost looking for something,
Right,
you don't know
websites
something
are
exists,
passive.
like I wouldn't,
It's like
a lot of
that's,
people would look for a crafting program on the library, but they just
Right,
like not encourage
right.
people
You gotta
there's a
remember
range
that.
of services.
someone has to shepherd you to the store before you start browsing the aisle,
Yes.
sort of thing, so.
Okay,
The town is getting a new website within this next year.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of times when you do a new website, that attracts attention.
Yeah, it's just PR.
You only get one shot now.
I know,
Okay with that.
That's a
You
big
are.
shot, yeah. That's right.
it better be good.
It better be.
I know.
Yeah, everyone's still searching for
goodness
the
sake, yeah.
the days when we used to get newspapers delivered to our doorstep. And we really replaced that as a central focal point for everybody.
Right.
Okay, anything else on the monthly staff reports? A good discussion.
No, I've talked about it.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we can always double back. We'll vote on the motion to accept the staff report. Susan?
Yes.
Dan?
yes,
Laura?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Amy?
Her thumb went up.
Okay, Jackie?
Yes. Sorry, I had a kid.
That's okay. And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. Public participation. 1, 2, 3, there is none, okay. Very good, moving on, correspondence, there were 2 notes, both very nice at the end of the
Very
packet
nice.
today,
Yeah,
for this
very
week,
nice.
month.
That was nice.
One of them included a check, not pictured, is that correct?
Yes,
That's always nice.
that was nice.
I'll also toss in thanks to Annie for her wonderful note on Leah's wall.
It was beautiful. She did a nice
Oh,
job.
yeah, that one, yeah, that was
Nice
great,
job.
that was wonderful, yeah. 100%.
If there's nothing else in correspondence, we'll go to the committee reports. Budget,
Our budget hearing at the town council is February 10th. I just found that out from Ian Sherman.
okay.
Anything we should chat about before that meeting, yeah?
I don't,
It'll be
I
before
don't
our
think
next,
so.
trustee
I don't think so.
It seemed pretty uncontroversial,
Yeah.
and wrapping in some
Yeah.
ongoing items that probably should have been in last time around, but we'll
Yeah.
get them this time, right?
Right, so nobody had any comments from town hall, and the subcommittee of the FinCom is gonna look at it, I think next week. But they got it and they didn't have any questions.
Okay.
It is pretty,
Tends to
pretty
be fairly conservative and uncontroversial.
and it was within what the town had asked for. You know, not go beyond a certain point, and it was within that, so I think.
And in terms of our expenditures against 25, there remains a couple of items that are in or approaching the red, but we've either talked about them or they seem to be holding the line. So,
Yeah, and some things have been in our favor, like snow, which would change, but also water, got a water bill today, and we seem to be saving on water. So there's been some things in our favor too.
Is there anything beyond, is the operating budget the budget they discussed? Is there such a thing
Yes.
as another budget?
Capital is,
Capital.
capital separate, but aside from capital, no, the operating budget is
The
all.
operating budget is what they'll discuss, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Curious, sorry if I've asked, I forget. I know that the library operates as a kind of cooling summer, hot summers. Do we operate as a warming center during cold winter as well, or?
We could,
Okay, we
I
don't,
don't,
we're not
have
like, we don't encourage
Does that
people to
happen
come here
before
during.
when the town sends an email, the townwide email, they will sometimes list us as one of the places.
yeah,
Just, I mean,
Wasn't
not for
like
any other,
designation.
like curiosity, really, but,
it's the reason I know we've been a cooling center is because it was in the summer and we had to open on a Sunday that we hadn't scheduled.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
And so that was really different.
yeah,
A number of times where they announced the library is formally an official
Right,
townwide cooling
right.
station.
Right.
that's right.
So,
Yeah, I might have even brought this up last meeting, so I apologize for the repetition.
No, that's
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's right, there's an email formally sent, but I never saw anything about it being a warming center. So.
yeah, we have really cold times though, when I think. So when we're legitimately a center, it's because the emergency manager has called me and said, will you be a center?
Okay,
We kind of are anyway.
Right.
I mean,
Right,
we're
of course.
aware that there are people that come here
yeah,
and warm up.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, just
No, that's
Just
okay.
kind
But
of
the
thing.
summer one sticks in my mind because we're typically closed then, so we're opening specifically for,
That makes sense.
Yeah,
The hours
for
are
the
different.
cooling.
Yeah, okay.
At the last meeting, we had asked, and thank you for including that, like the breakdown of, I don't know if this fits in the budget section or not, I'm not sure where to put it, but the blossoms and friends, like the
Oh,
money
yeah.
we received from those over the past, number of years.
that was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. And, you know, because we talked last time, about we won't have blossoms, that we won't have that money. The friends won't, their things might change slightly depending on what their plans are, but is there at what point do we need to think about like either,
I would say we have about 2 years to come up with something that would replace Blossoms. And there are ideas that I would bring to the Friends. So I don't know if it would make exactly the same amount of money, but it also wouldn't cost us anything either.
Okay.
So I feel pretty confident that the Friends can make up the difference.
Sorry, I don't usually ask this many questions, but I have another one now.
That's okay.
Is there a plan to publicly announce that Blossom's happening? Only because it is an institution, I have friends that are asking, who cares, but like people expect it. Are we going to announce that like it's not
We never,
happening?
I don't know, we never have before. The years we didn't have it, I don't think we actually made an announcement and said it wasn't happening.
Okay,
But because the committee has disbanded,
We always made an announcement, like the 2 COVID years.
did we?
Yeah.
So do you think we should?
I think, yes, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
from PR perspective, I think, something should be said, so people, I know it's only, it's April, January, but like,
Yeah,
That way-
but if it's, yeah,
and that way you also control the narrative, and you're able to say like, it's not happening, but don't worry, other good things are happening, it's not because it's already reactive, you know,
it has to come from the Friends.
right, yeah, I
It would
think,
have to come
well, no, that's,
no,
not
it wouldn't
the
come
friends,
from the
has to come
Friends,
from,
because
it has to come
because
from-
that committee,
the
the
committee,
Blossoms Committee was its own, it was not affiliated with the Friends.
Right,
Which is part of the issue.
Yes.
yeah, that's
yes.
true, that's true,
So it would be the committee probably, right?
Because we've always announced by the end of January the
Okay.
date. Because
How-
January is usually when we had our first meetings,
that makes
set a
sense, yeah,
date.
Yep.
Hopefully, when we used to have also set a theme, so
for sure,
that's when we usually made the announcement at the end of January,
Okay.
of when it was.
Okay.
So the years that weren't able to carry on, we did the same thing that it wasn't happening.
Do you think it's necessary? Do you think we should announce it?
Do I think we should announce it?
You're the
I don't know, it's funny, I haven't even thought about that, but probably.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna raise a lot of questions. No matter how you
yes.
spin it,
spin it,
Has to
and
be-
I don't wanna spin it, but I mean,
Correct.
however you make that announcement, it's
Yeah.
going to,
It's delicate.
there's gonna be a lot of different reactions to it.
Yeah.
And, probably a lot of those reactions are gonna be like people who didn't really understand the purpose or the connection or the procedure in how it happened.
totally,
Because it's just like anything, I mean, and you are right, it has been a Wakefield tradition, which is, for me, sad that it's not gonna happen.
100%, yeah.
And somebody asked me about it today, and I said, oh, it wasn't happening, and didn't have really time to go into anything more, and the response that I've been getting for a few people are, that was the last tradition we had, because we had the holiday stroll for a number of years, we had the Italian festival for 100 years.
Yeah,
So this was this was the third thing that was townwide. And, when I first started doing it, it was like, people didn't realize it was a fundraiser and that, at the time, it worked to its benefit,
for sure,
but you didn't have to explain too much.
yeah, for sure,
So, yeah, I mean, I think, and a lot of people were sad and upset about that, because there has been a lot of discussion through town councils, it's like, why aren't we having the town traditional things go on, except for the 4th of July parade, which I is going on, but maybe very different this year because
Sure.
it's a new leadership. A lot of people have been questioning in town why these things have disappeared. Whether we would be lumped in with those other things or, I think there would be questions, so I don't know, I guess I'd like to hear other people's opinions, and I think we have to think about it.
So
I mean, I first thank you for everything you've done to make it happen,
you know,
Yeah,
well,
it's
I
amazing
loved doing
and
it,
like,
so.
and I would say,
appreciate that.
yeah, amazing, out of this, out of this world. I would also love to just chat with you at some point when we can, just
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
brainstorm about like, cause I think it's like, there's a whole narrative around like, it's not going away for like a bad reason, there's all sorts of things, like the farmer's market is going crazy gangbusters, there's all these good things, and so, anyway, we don't have to waste recorded airtime with me like thinking out loud.
No,
I'd
but
love
it
to,
is a
like, chat,
concern
but,
because
like,
if you know, anyone who looks at the Wakefield sites sees that there's been a lot of discussion about the town traditions,
Sure.
quote unquote. That, you know, they're I like to call them traditions, but they're
Right.
really like 15 years old.
Sure,
Um,
sure, yeah.
But they were different than what was before. And, you know, at the time, I think when you're running them and in the midst of things, and I've been involved in a lot of them,
Yeah, sure.
you know, it's frustrating, but from the outside, it's all
Right, yeah.
roses.
Hunky dory, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's, you know,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what you
right.
want
That's
from an
right,
event,
Yep.
so.
Thank you.
What are the actual reasons for not doing it, not continuing it?
You want it?
It's,
Sorry, I like.
Yeah,
I have my thoughts,
Well,
but
sorry,
yes,
sorry.
theatrics, the
So
one
we-
speak to that.
it took us a long time to come to it evolved over years. And the original reason, and you can see on the report, the original reason it was started, the chamber needed a fundraiser and the library needed money for books. It was a bad economy and we had no materials budget. And so for 4 years, that's what we did, and we used it for books. And then
And both those recipients were very different than they look now.
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So for all in all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a number of groups of people put this on, but it was pretty much the chamber and the library. And it was a lot of work for the library, and it also cut into the Friends. So the Friends is our fundraising organization, but we were having an event that the Friends then couldn't have an event. So they really relied on their book sale. And the Friends used to help out, but they were limited in what they could do because we split the proceeds with the chamber. So the town really wanted us to continue it because it was, an event that people liked. And so we carried on with it, but it happens at the expense, it got to the point where it was happening at the expense of other library services. The staff turned over and people who had done it for years were no longer here. So there were multiple reasons why it was becoming difficult. So we talked about it and I met with the chamber director and we talked it over and I explained the things that were hard for us and he explained the things that were hard for him. And we agreed, I'm on the chamber board, so we agreed that I would help out with the chamber coming up with new events, which they have been. And I announced to the Friends that we were not doing this anymore and told them that one of the things that I thought was important is that we do something that opens the building at night to people to party because they do really like that. But we would have to really decide how to do that in a way that didn't rely so much on raising funds so that you could make it easier from a perspective of a working building.
Like the Friends would want to use it as a lead funnel for new membership,
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
Like, they talk
Absolutely.
about like, how do we get new membership? It's like, well, they plan some version of that even smaller, maybe it's okay to just you funnel a bunch of people in, 100 folks come in and 10 of them sign up for the Friends, that's a win.
Right.
The Friends never expressed that this was stepping on their toes or anything, right?
They did
Yeah.
early on.
Was that kind of a,
Yeah, they didn't complain about it, but they did say it was
yeah,
awkward
step in front of us.
that it was cutting into
Yeah.
their opportunities.
What if we went to them now and said, put it on?
That's what I think will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think will happen.
Good.
Because they're also having trouble with their book sale, because they don't have a location for the
Right.
book sale.
Right.
So the book sale will probably change, it won't be as large as it is now. That will probably change, and if that changes, how will we change? You know, it won't be blossoms, it would have to be something different. But a blossoms-like event.
With all the auditorium and gymnasium space in town, how can they be having trouble finding a location
A location for
for the
the,
books?
oh, it's because they store the books all year.
Right, it's storage,
They
yeah.
store the books.
There's no temporary storage, like.
There's no storage.
It's
Right,
huge.
right now they're using the Hurd School, which is a closed building,
I know that, I was still,
yeah, so.
it's hard to imagine that
I
there
mean, this
is
building has a lot of beautiful space, but not a lot of beautiful storage, I don't think.
No, I know.
So, and that's what, you look at it from the outside, people think that.
There's an event built around
This
that.
building we're in.
No,
And
not-
even,
not
and even
that.
people who have space are like wary of having
Yeah.
like, you know, the liability of stuff that's not there, it's just hanging around for a long period of time.
No, but to Dan's point, almost it's like, this isn't how it currently runs, it's just in a friends meeting, but like if they condense the year long. They can't realistically do it, but they say like,
Yeah.
we have a 1 week or 2 week time frame, everybody bring your books for donation this weekend, we have 3-4 days for some sorting, and it's
Sure.
not gonna be exact. And then have, so like you could probably get a space for a week somewhere, you know, civic center, something
Yeah,
like that,
if you-
but you
yes.
can't for the way it's currently run, you can't
Yeah.
do it, cause they need
I
their
understand.
You wouldn't have,
daily access to it. You wouldn't be,
you wouldn't have the volume, you wouldn't have the profit.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
So-
we also wouldn't have, we
Yeah.
would always have the like
Yeah.
the people hours that
Yeah.
they.
I got a peek behind the curtain back when they had to run it up at the top of the lake, the old Converse building, and just the insurance that they had to carry alone really cut into a lot of the profit they were sharing around. So unless someone's willing to give the space for free and,
And
you know,
sure, yeah.
waive away their any
Which for
liability.
years has been the case.
So it was, the book sale is a solution that evolved, or is a situation that revolved around a particular solution that was the old church, let them store their stuff year round for free,
Right.
post the thing for free. They built every single aspect of it around that particular solution, and when that literally went up in flames,
Well, I
they
think,
couldn't really walk back to.
I think there was a private
their
home
homes.
that allowed them to,
It was a private home that was.
for years and years, so.
Sure, that was the other aspect of it, is the Shermans wanted their garage back, I joke, they,
The nerve.
I know, right,
They only gave it up for 20 years.
thanks to the Shermans for all the years that they had, but yeah, that was another aspect of the solution that went away. So it's,
And I think volunteering is changing too.
Oh, sure.
The idea that you can, you know, I think people like to volunteer for short periods, you know, that weekend, they're gonna do, oh, it's a book sale weekend, they're gonna volunteer that weekend, but not necessarily
Sure.
sure, and
24/7.
you know, Lost, I had a ton of fun every time I went to Blossoms, but it's, for the library staff, it's a lot of unpaid labor, a lot of volunteer hours for the library staff too.
Yeah, it's harder to get.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
But I look forward to the day when something replaces.
yeah, you know, we wanna do something Blossoms like, because that's what people like. That's the thing that's missing.
Okay, anything else on budget? Building and grounds, most of what we wanna talk about is under new business, but, when you were talking with folks, Catherine, did you discuss the plaza and the steps?
No, because I haven't spoken with anyone.
You had, so all of this stuff for the capital draft was outside of that, what we were talking about at the last meeting?
Yeah, because we haven't had a chance to talk yet. It's been emails, I have a general idea. I think we're gonna talk as a committee, like, I think Joe and I are gonna just get it all laid out when we have the capital planning meeting.
Okay. And when is the capital planning meeting?
I don't know, I forget.
Yes.
I have no
Generally start-
information for anyone.
They generally start in advance of the town meeting, so sometime in March would be the latest.
Yeah, there's a little bit of time there.
So if we start the discussion in March, we'll have enough runway to obligate the funds by the end of June?
Oh, no, that we don't have to spend till the end of June, that will be for next year, that's for next year's money. So the stairs will have to be done in the spring.
Right, so that's what I'm getting at.
Oh, the
Like,
stairs.
that's gotta go out to
The
bid.
stairs, the stairs, that's fine, Joe's gonna help with that, and it may be that I have to do some of it myself, which will be fine, he'll direct me. Because I haven't done that, the bid part I haven't done before.
Okay,
But I think he wanted to find out if it actually did have to be bid.
okay,
I think that's part of what he was waiting on.
okay.
Yeah,
The capital draft, that's for next year, I'm not.
right, so that's
Concerned
fine,
about that at
but
this
no, the
point, but-
stairs are, I know the stairs are an issue.
Yeah,
We
we
want
gotta,
that done, but they're not gonna do it in the winter, they're not gonna.
no, but we can't wait until it's sunny to go to bids, right?
Right,
Anything else on building and grounds until we get to the capital planning? Okay, so. Friends?
Chris was there, but I was there too, so I'll let you know. They were planning the book sale, obviously. They're planning an open house, which they've done the last couple of years. It's March 16th, which is a Sunday afternoon in the lecture hall. The point of that is to both recruit new members, and they are also looking for new leadership. Karen Williams would like to step down as president, so we're looking for officers. I think possibly a director or two. They formed a membership committee to come up with ideas to drive memberships. They had a number of ideas that they kind of went over, but it seemed like they didn't get into any one of them. It was just sort of the subcommittee presented to the rest of the group. What else? They raised the honey prices very slightly after doing some market research.
I'm sorry, we raised it, what?
The honey prices,
Oh,
they hadn't in a while, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that was all.
I think they have the website. Well,
Do they?
it's probably the same website, but it's, it looks different.
Oh,
Yeah.
it wasn't discussed.
Yeah,
At the meeting.
so I think somebody did something to the website, which is kind of nice.
All right, thank you. Gift funds?
Nothing on gift funds, I think. Something, I guess tangentially, the only thing that's there is we have a new town accountant. And I have sent an email and said, we have trust funds, and if you wanna know more about them, I'm happy to take you on that tour.
Okay.
So,
Did we dip into the trust funds recently?
no, not since we did the stout last year.
All right, very good.
One thing I flagged in looking at the gift funds was the, like, I just kind of flagged the two or at least the two big unrestricted ones, the Balu and there's another bucket that says unrestricted. The account number that ends 2405. But that one has the most money in it. And I just, I'm pairing that with my question about how to make up the blocks of these deficits. Like we have someplace else that if we needed to pull for
Oh, yeah.
things, we have that resource.
Beyond the trust funds too, we have some gift money that that's in various gifts. So we got a couple of gifts that would, that's why I said 2 years.
Mhm.
We have that money.
Okay. Good, all right, great. Okay, legislative advocacy, we talked a little bit about the brunch coming up on February 2nd, is that right?
I think it's
Seven.
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 Yeah, that's
Excuse me,
Friday,
thank you.
up in Marblehead, right? Is that,
Yeah.
sound right? Yeah, hold on.
Breakfast, not brunch.
Yeah, don't be fancy.
So we have that going on. I saw some numbers about what's been submitted by the various library groups for requests for their budget for 26.
From the Board of Library Commissioners,
Yes.
yeah,
To go to the state house.
those big numbers, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that was in the packet, right?
Yeah,
At the end of
those
the
are some,
packet, yeah.
some healthy increases.
Yeah,
If they
and, yeah, the healthiest increase looked like it was the state aid.
Yes. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
900K on like 6 million, something like that.
yeah. I don't know if you know, Jackie, why they went that high, but I suspect it has to do with inflation. Because that is directly split with all the public libraries.
We did not discuss it.
No,
Yeah, I mean, That's on,
that would be
that's on top of what I thought was a pretty healthy number.
They got a good amount last year, and it looks like they're looking for 4 million this year. And 2 of that is for state aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on legislative advocacy? No, okay. Personnel, so we talked last time about the personnel subcommittee meeting, is that on the books, did that already happen? I missed it.
It was gonna happen, we postponed it because it's pretty much self-explanatory, at this point. So the guidelines have been emailed to all of you,
And I have hard copies
and
here.
we also have hard copies if you're interested of the, for those of you who've been on, before, there's the performance appraisal. And it's many pages long, but we sit through many meetings, so we are very competent to do this. So, so I need you to, so I'm the chairperson, Scott is on the committee, so is Amy, and so is Chris Barrett, so we were unable to meet before this meeting. But Catherine was kind enough to get all the appropriate materials mailed to you. You can look it over, if you have any questions, let me know. The important thing is that I'm gonna set a date that, your answers and your opinions need to be back. We have 2 weeks, so we can start from tomorrow. Since after 6 o'clock, I think the day is over, but that is my personal, because it starts very early. So we're looking at having them back by February 6th. If that is okay with everybody, does that make sense to you, Scott?
Yeah, that makes sense totally.
So you can do a hard copy, you can also put your comments electronically. And if you would send them to me by February 6th, you have my email, but it's my name, all small letters, susanwetmore@gmail.com. That, then the committee we're gonna set a date to meet that following week. And we will compile the rest. But I remember the first time we did this, it was like, oh, it's just kind of a checklist. It really takes some time to do it, because it does, when you think back of all the meetings, and that's our main contact with Catherine. Although I'm sure that she's able to, if you have any questions for her, particularly about a certain issue, she can tell you how wonderfully she
I have
does,
to
but
go
I
to
can
the
tell you.
minutes.
Bit of a memory, yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
I don't remember how.
well, it refreshes your memory when you see it. So we have a lot of information and a lot of experience one-on-one, so take your time and you can compile a really nice appraisal.
So, just finish, just complete it,
Yes,
fill it out.
And then just get it to Sue for the 6th.
the 6th, which is a Thursday.
And then we'll meet the following week, which will be 2 weeks prior to the next
Right,
trustee.
approximately, yeah.
Yeah, or, yeah.
So I have to get the timeline,
Yeah.
and because we have to have it done by March, so.
I missed the point, how do you deliver this by hard copy?
What have we had them drop it here, or? Some people did a hard copy last time, I don't remember.
People did a hard copy and they gave it to someone who typed it in, I think.
You might need to get the hard copy, because you probably have to compile all of it.
Yeah, I will get the hard copy, but where do you wanna send it,
where to
or
drop it
maybe you
off,
just
yeah.
deliver it to your office in an
You
envelope?
can, and I'll give it to
I'll
you.
just do-
And
I'll just do it.
she'll, yeah,
You can do it by email.
I mean, it,
Yeah,
I like
because
a hard copy.
I'm sending it as a Word document.
Right.
So if you open it as a Word document, you can type on it. And then and then send that as an electronic
Yeah.
copy. And then if you want them printed, you just print them and read them.
Right, right.
Yeah.
but I think some people did a hard copy, I know,
They
you know,
did.
I usually like to still use tape notes here too,
Yeah, I
so
do
that's
too.
fine. So you can just put them in an envelope and she'll
Yeah.
alert me, there's only 9 of us, you're easy, and I have
Yeah.
all your addresses, we can track you down.
Okay, good.
Stephanie will hold on to them.
Yeah. I think that's the way we did it before,
Yeah.
it's all coming back.
I can't believe it's been 3, this is every 3 years, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or did we like,
I think it's.
Well, but we had a whole different,
was
We
it
had it,
later last
yeah,
time?
we had last
Like an
last year,
off-cycle.
2 years ago.
I think last year was
Last
our,
That was a negotiation, that was like
challenging,
yeah, that was
yes.
the contract negotiation. Personnel subcommittee's been pretty busy, the last couple of years, so I don't know what you all been
I think
doing,
we're still
but,
I think we're still on schedule.
It just was like, that's amazing that 3 years, okay, I feel
Yeah,
like, if you told me I did this last month, but.
From the
Well, that's what
original.
I couldn't actually remember, I was like, did we just do this, but we're very active, so,
We're an active subcommittee, yeah, really.
which is good.
It's good.
It keeps you,
I love it,
Youngish.
yeah, keep us involved.
but yes, I feel like we just did it, and then I can't believe how much time's passed, but
Right,
that's
it's,
my,
yeah, it's 2025, yeah.
That's my entire life,
The
so.
normal 3-year thing, yep, and then we just had this other thing last year, which
Yeah.
was a little different,
Yeah.
but it was special.
I wasn't questioning it, it's just
No,
amazing how fast 3 years.
I
No,
absolutely
that was-
agree, cause I
that
was
was
like, I
reflective,
could not think
yeah.
how many years it was, it could be 3 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is there anything that I'm leaving out?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect.
It sounds like email to you or deliver to the library to get to you.
Yep.
Hard copy, right, yeah.
Any questions? I mean, that's my email. Easiest to get that. You also have my phone number, I think, or if anybody wants I will give you my number, not online, but I'll give you that if you have any questions, you can call. Just identify who you are, otherwise you're spam like all the other email, like all the other phone calls I get.
Excellent, thank you. All right, that wraps up the committee reports. We are on to new business, the draft of the capital budget request.
Does anybody want a hard copy? It's probably easier to see it digitally, but
Yeah, I'll take.
if you want one, there's some. There are some. So, the way I thought we could approach this is to, we have a lot of needs, and some of them are very, very expensive, and some of them less so. So, I talked with Dave, I sat on it for a while, it's hard to figure out what the priorities are. Tim was in for a hotspot, Tim Healy.
Yeah,
And so I buttonholed him and we talked about it. And so what I think I'm gonna do with the committee is say, my highest priority is relatively expensive. my first priority. And if you can't cover that, because there are too many other needs in town that are surpassing that, I have these other things, and can I have as much of them as I possibly can get? So, part of the problem I'm having right now is getting estimates. So I'm relying on some older estimates, and I think a lot of things have changed, so I bumped it up a little bit, and I have a little bit of an idea. And I'm hoping that some estimates will come in before I actually meet with Joe. But the estimates for the heating, and that's, so the HVAC, the chiller and the rooftop units are my first priorities.
Okay.
And that's because, in part because we're a cooling center, and last year we were down for a significant amount of time, and it was hot in here, really got hot. And that equipment is only aging. So we have photographs of it from a drone that the committee will have access to, that some of them have been on the roof before too.
So some of the rooftop units can cause some real problems too, so.
Yeah, so the rooftop units, each one is about $40,000, and there are 4 of them. And what Dave said to me is that there are 2 of them on the new roof, but there are 2 of them on the old roof. And it may be that they wanna do that old roof before they replace the other 2. So I also have an estimate for the roof,
Yeah.
that's $210,000. So at least, and he said sometimes it depends too, when you're working on the roof, if you're gonna need a crane, you might wanna do multiple things that require that crane.
Sure.
Cause in the long run, it's gonna be cheaper than getting a crane out here twice. So that would be for the committee to weigh against whatever else is happening in town. If it turned out to be a lean year in town, it's possible that they might wanna do all this. But if it's not, and it's really, if there's something else, fire prevention system for small children at the Doyle, I followed that one year. So then you're gonna just, whatever I can get that's less expensive. If I can't do the HVAC, then we do have other things. And the camera system that I would like to replace is probably in between that lecture hall carpet and the plumbing upgrades. Right now, the plumbing upgrades I'm doing with the operating budget, little by little, which is how I know how much they cost. Because we've done 3 of them. And now we know that that's gonna have to be done. There's things in those rooms that are gonna have to be done. So I think it's just gonna be a real conversation, and hopefully I'll have some more, I will have heard from more people and have more actual estimates. The HVAC estimates are current. Those are all current. The lecture hall carpeting is based on the last time we did it. And I think that's pretty accurate. The restrooms are accurate. The rear roof is accurate. So I actually have more than I thought I did. It's just the cameras, I haven't been able to get those people to respond to me. And the access system are the key code things that we have. Everywhere you go, they use key cards, and even you go to the hotels and everything's card. It doesn't look like we can have that, but we have these key things now. They're not centralized. Each door is individual. So the last time I had it looked at, they were telling me what the limits were, but that was so long ago that I'm imagining things have changed and there might be options that I'm not even aware of. So, the cost of some of those options might be prohibitive because of the way it's set up now.
Even the limits of the technology. I would be surprised if there wasn't a way to daisy chaining those all together at this point. so they're all kind of ad hoc in their way. Anyway, I think there's
I'm
ways to
wondering.
get there.
Yeah,
I think there are ways to get there. Even if there's not, even if you have to do every single door, if you just have the technology of everyone gets their own badge and their own pin, that turns up security on its own, and it also helps you cycle people out. You don't have to change the code every time someone leaves. Even if you have to go around to all 6 entryways and manually make that update 6 times, it's better than, you know, having a punch card. It's worse than having like a physical key, you know, that anyone can skip that code. Anyway, enough
Yeah,
about
I know.
my security paranoia.
No, I know, I get it.
So let me ask you about security cameras. What's wrong with our current security cameras? Are they just old? Are we looking for new technology, bit of both?
Both of those.
Softwares.
We use them more than, the use is different than we originally anticipated it would be. And so, you know, Jackie uses it most often, and you wanna be able to have software that's efficient and does what you need it to do without waiting a long time or, so it's getting to be time. And some of them are beyond the useful life. Some of them are newer, the cameras themselves.
Mhm.
So, we need the whole thing sort of
Sure.
looked at.
And we talked a little bit last time, now that I'm refreshing my memory, the use case for security cameras in a library is much different than typical security camera. If you're really doing security in a high security facility, you want cameras that can show you, you know, the plaque on your teeth, so you know how long you've been to the dentist, right? And that's not what you want.
Right.
You don't want someone literally looking over your shoulder.
Right, so you only want to reveal what a person in a building would anticipate would be reasonable, would have a reasonable expectation of, you know, not being private.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't show, you can't see what's on someone's screen necessarily, you're not gonna be able to see what they're browsing. That's not the point anyway, the point is to,
Yeah, you wanna maintain a safe space for the staff and the collection and the patrons.
so it's pretty much as if we were all just looking around.
Okay, yeah, it might be more interesting getting a quote from someone who understands our installation needs rather than the actual technology. I'd be interested to
Yeah,
hear what you come up with.
you want both, I think you want both.
Oh, for sure.
And there's lots of, every library does this.
Mhm.
So, the places I've looked at are all on the MHEC, Mass Higher Ed, contract list.
Okay,
So, and the one I'm trying to get in touch with, we've worked with before,
oh, great.
so, and Dave gave them a thumbs up.
So they at least understand where we're coming.
Yes,
Very good.
they'll just have newer equipment.
Just out of curiosity, how many, like, access systems with those kind of locks do we have here? Cause I know your office has one, like, with a,
So there's 2 doors on every floor and then rear. Yeah, there's not that many, are there?
Well, there's one in fiction, we don't use it, but 2, 4, 6, in fact, what, 7?
All the outside doors.
Oh, no, only this one.
And fiction.
In fiction.
Yeah.
7, I think.
so. There's not many, it doesn't seem, it's kind of surprising.
Well, there's 3.
Somehow coordinated.
The 2 at
I
reference.
gotta believe
Right.
there's a way to do it now.
It's
Like even 10 years ago, maybe not.
Inside and outside.
Should be, like the way they figured it out right now, it should be.
Four,
We'll see.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah,
8.
Is the trailer in that one?
it's just a key.
Wakefield, it's the way to go.
There's not even that many.
When you don't know how to get in, it's very difficult. Oh, like, Autumn Blossom's night, what was that called again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your concern, confidence ratio on the proposed request? Because it's a lot larger than past years for capital. I mean, how do you feel about, I mean, just looking at the number, it's daunting at a glance, it's all necessary, but it's a lot larger than some past years.
Oh, yeah, so there's no
How does
there's no way I would get all of that.
Okay.
But the way the committee works, it's like almost every year they say, we have so many millions of requests, like 9 million requests, and we have $2 million to work with.
If you walk away with the HVAC, you'll feel good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that it gets it, I don't know that there's anything here that's an emergency.
Okay.
You know, if you have an emergency, then I have to say, I don't care about the toil, we have to do this.
Yeah.
None of it's an emergency,
Sure.
but because it's on here, I'm able to say, it's not an emergency now, but I'm thinking we don't have that much more time.
Yeah, okay.
And there are people on the committee who have experience too, so they will, and Joe at DPW, he has experience too, so they'll be able to say, we can probably do this, or we can probably do that, and we'll have to watch for this, and
Sure.
and they understand the building gets a lot of use, and that it's, it's a gem of a building. So nobody wants to let anything, that's why they did the roof when they did the roof,
Sure.
because the potential for damage was just too great.
If you're only gonna get, I'm sorry.
This is okay.
No, thank you.
If you only got 2 on the new roof, the RTUs, that's valuable?
I think so, yes, I think so.
If you're gonna get 1 on the
Yeah.
new roof, would that still be of use?
Probably.
If I could just add, because I sit on that committee,
Right,
and I probably won't be able to vote on this.
right, you won't.
Sure.
What? But the approach in past years by department, first of all, the requests that come from the library are among the smallest of all the departments in the town.
Sure, makes sense.
The practice generally of other departments comes either in the form of priorities. School department often ranks them as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. There are some downsides to that because it draws the eyes of our committee, the committee members, to the tier 1 and tier 2 and 3 get ignored. But it does have the benefit of really highlighting what you would consider critical. This list is longer than it's been in other years, and not just in dollars, but in items. So that to the extent that you can make that tiering system and be good to yourselves, be good to us, okay, because the competition really is among departments. It's not a consideration of, well, we don't want to spend too much total, although there is usually a $2 million to $2.3 million limit overall. But the competition is among departments, so the more compelling the argument is, the higher the priority that you place on those items, the better the argument will go.
That's good.
And it's frustrating, I won't be able to say it. I think I can speak, but I don't think I can.
Yeah,
I'm sure I
You
can.
probably can, you probably
You'll
can't,
be able
but
to
you can, you can weigh in.
because we can all speak.
Right.
I approach it, which is, like, there are probably people who think, what an idiot. But I approach it that we're all town departments, and I don't want to do something for the library at the expense of the police department, if it's something they really need. But I also know what it takes to care for this building.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want it to get to the point, when they did the renovation in 1999, were really duct taping things. I mean, it had gone so long, so long. And they had taken very good care of everything, but they were to the point where taking care of it didn't matter anymore. It was just too, and you know, the townspeople voted to do the renovation because everything had been so well cared for.
Uh-huh.
And it was easy to make the case that it's time to do this now. And I think when they voted to do the roof the last time, it was easy to make a case that this is the best use of this money.
Yeah.
That if this doesn't happen now, we're running the risk of damaging that ceiling, or you know, something that's gonna become more expensive. So it becomes kind of easier to make those decisions. So although I understand that it's a competition, I'm not particularly competitive, but I am,
You've done very
you
well.
know,
Well,
I wanna protect the building.
Yeah, one, I think of stewardship, right? So I think as a proper steward of the library, it's like you're advocating for what it needs. And something you said just made me think, like, at some point, you know, we're so conservative, we're so good about not spending too much money, but you are able at some point to come with a list of things. I'm not saying right now, but it's like, just so you know, my eye is on the ball, and there are a few things that we need, not right this second, but so you know, in the next few years, X, Y, and Z, and so, you know, fund accordingly. But I think that's a good thing, you know, where you have almost a longer list to present in front to basically say, like, I'm identifying if there are holes in the roof, but some need to be applied immediately, some can last a year or two.
Right. I think the other thing that's in our favor is that last year there was $25,000 that did not get funded. And I found a way to put that in the operating budget.
Yeah.
So we had extra money within 2 years, and that was something that really, really needed to be done. Dave was just thrilled that I said I would do it. You know, it was a capital project, but getting the stairs was more important, so we got our first priority.
I hope that that's a credit in our favor. I find that the town has very short memory.
I know, I think, I'm not sure that's always true, and I think it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I bring that up if I have to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That I don't let people forget that you know, and I think that, I think people know.
Yep. And this building is a gem. I mean, we can't steal smoke detectors from school children, but we, one of the things that came up, whether you're for or against the new high school, everyone said that we need to be doing a better job of maintaining our quality buildings in town. And if there is a quality building in town, this is it. This is the one.
Catherine, can you, maybe this is a little less self-explanatory to me, but the carpeting and flooring request, and I know when we did the main area, the first floor, when it was last year, 2 years ago, time is weird, but it was like, there were like safety issues, there were tears, people were tripping, or is that where we're getting with these other parts too, are these?
On the carpets?
Yeah.
No, we're not to that, because that, I would say, we have to do something with that. But no, it's not to that point. But it is, like, sometimes we have the carpets cleaned once a year, and sometimes the carpet cleaners will say, I mean, in the case of the first floor, the carpet cleaners said, we're not gonna be able to clean this anymore, we can tell the backing is totally gone. So even though it looks like maybe this is okay, there's nothing left underneath, so you really have to do something.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's how we'll find out. The staff who maintain it all the time, they're vacuuming in and everything, they will come and say, you know, there's certain sections that need to be done, and sometimes you can just patch those. A lot of patching downstairs.
There's it's a patchwork quilt.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there weren't
But
safeties.
No, there's not really a safety issue. The lecture hall will become a safety issue, and it gets a lot of use. And children sit on it for story time. And there's also some electrical issues in that floor that need to be addressed. And that would happen when it was carpeted. So it would be good if we could do that.
All right, do you need us to vote on this?
I don't think so.
I didn't think
It's
so
pretty-
either.
Yeah, it's pretty much just an update,
Yeah.
and it will be sort of massaged with DPW and the planning. It seems like every time I've done this before, we've had one big thing and I've pretty much said, you know, I want you to vote to support me on this thing, but I just want you to know that we're kind of pushing it all around to see what can be done next.
In general, I'm in favor of all the cards on the table approach, just here's everything that's coming up. And
If
here's-
you have 300,000, I'll be happy.
That's right, but if you just have 80K, we can make use of that too.
Right.
You've got a high batting average.
Tim says the rooftop units, part of the advantage of getting those two is that they will be much more efficient. He said the new models would be much more efficient.
Sure.
So that would be good. And then the chiller's big ticket item, but that's, you know, next door at the savings bank, theirs went, they had to replace theirs. And when it had gone down, they were renting equipment that was
Wow.
coming out of the building. Do you remember that? The big, yeah, it was like a window unit, but it was industrial.
It was like when they take asbestos out, that's.
Yeah, it looked like that, yeah. So I don't want to do that. But if it gets hot and we don't have air conditioning, we can't use the building. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, I think that's it for new business. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Does anyone have any walk-on topics?
I just wanted to say something that, I know we talked about blossoms and I always enjoyed the event. I always, enjoyed the actual event, but I was very happy to see that the actual amounts were written down from the years that I participated, because for the 12 years, I feel very proud of myself and the committee that gave that amount.
Great job.
I knew it was always, I had an idea in my head, but I didn't see it in writing, and it was,
Oh,
It was nice to see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because of blossoms, we expanded what we're able to do. And so it's an interesting problem now. We're contracting a little bit, but it just means like we have to find a way to fund all this awesome extra stuff that we're doing.
You don't replace blossoms, but it's like, well, what can we do to fill some of the financial void and fund?
yeah.
So
That's awesome.
a lot of money.
I didn't always enjoy the party though, even if there was aggravating in the end.
Yep.
And if we didn't enjoy it, the amount of community people that enjoyed it was always, a good thing. Not that this building needs being highlighted, but it was always the building that brought the uniqueness to the event. So,
That is
have
what
fun
it
and-
is, it's the,
yeah.
it's the
It's awesome,
building.
I had to festival.
yeah, it really, that can't
Beautiful
be.
building, yeah.
So maybe that's a key point too. Anything that replaces it really has to happen here.
That's a tremendous part of it. It's that people like to have access to. It's that the building belongs, a lot of people who don't use it as a library
That's right.
still feel that it's an important, it's on Main Street, it's a beautiful building, it's like the gazebo.
Yeah.
It's this iconic building, so to be able to go in it at night, to do something a little different,
That's great.
And well,
it makes you feel like you belong here.
speaking as a, father of two kids that, are playing sports all the time, it's nice to mingle with parents in a setting where I can dress up in cocktails, not just be like on the side of a basketball court too.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like a big, because there's lots of people there that just wanna mingle and not have it be, because they are forced into the same place by, again, sports or other events. It's like, no, we are here because we want to be in this beautiful building and party down, so
Yes,
it's
and I
always
know.
nice to. It's
And
like-
I'm not gonna
And
say
it's local.
all
Yeah,
the
it's local.
participants necessarily appreciated what the library does.
Right.
But I think there was a population that appreciates the actual building.
Yeah.
When we were talking about how town money is spent, that's a valuable thing.
Absolutely.
That a lot of people say, well, no, I didn't realize. I was like, well, come to Blossoms, because there's so many levels and blah, blah, blah. And even people from out of town. I currently work as a part-time job in Middleton, and a lot of other schools and come in with kids and to work there and whatnot. And in speaking to them, there's been other people say, well, were you from Wakefield? And they talk about different educational things. And I was like, oh, something about libraries, and they will like love this library from so many other towns too.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's appreciation for the library as well.
And a lot of people, I'll shut up, I promise that, but a lot of, I've
You
just.
said that all night, but
I know,
it's okay.
but I have lots
You
of
haven't said
questions
anything
on
we
lots of,
disagree
like,
with.
I'm on fire, I'm on
vehemently.
fire tonight. A lot of people, like, most people that I've encountered, like, they live here because they love it, and the library and events here are a nice way to celebrate it. It's like, people are like, oh, Wakefield, the lake, yeah, we got a lake, the lake's great, The library is great too, there's other things, that's one way that people are like, yeah, really get together and really celebrate it. So,
Those are two things that aren't, tremendously harassed on the community pages, to be
That's
honest,
true, that's true,
right?
yeah, they're pretty safe, yeah, correct,
Let's keep it that way.
yeah, I agree.
We got two. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? No, okay, the next Friends meeting is February 13th. Dan is, on call for that with Laura as the backup. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 26th. And don't forget to return evaluation forms to Susan by February 6th, please and thank you. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay.
Second.
Very good. Let's vote. Susan?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes, sir.
Amy?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yep.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. We wrap up at 8:18. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.